Be free. Enjoy yourself. Good morning. Thank you for joining for another deep talk and breakfast. I won't be having breakfast today. I got up quite early. I got up around 6 and it's already 7 something. I've been trying to meditate and focus and I got somewhere. But there was a lot in my mind, so I guess the motivation to make breakfast is already taking a lot of space, or I don't have motivation to do that. And I need to go to the gym soon and I need to go to do yoga soon, so not also very hungry either. So I will just spend some time contemplating on what is going on. And we will have these moments very often when our mind just goes its own way, so to say, and enters a memory, a thought, past, thinks about the future. And it's easy to do that when we haven't sat and dealt with the source of our anxiety or pain. And what we often do, and what you will often notice people doing when there is a hardship or a difficulty, that we will devise all sorts of mechanisms to avoid them, to avoid accountability, responsibility, to not see ourselves as the one playing a vital role in our circumstance and environment, in where we are right now, regardless of where that is. If we're successful, unsuccessful, happy, sad, whichever label you choose to put, we simply, most of the times, often when it comes to negative scenarios and feelings, don't take responsibility, don't take accountability, and don't try to, first of all, understand the problem and what happened, and second, resolve it. And this is where the beauty of this kind of process is, because we see problems as something that needs to be resolved. But if we, as people who are, for the most part, separate and have different understanding of a single concept or a problem, that is where the primary division is. That is where we are separated and divided in the different and maybe even opposite understanding of reality and of a problem. And it is therefore very difficult to approach resolution of the problem, because if we see it differently, we understand it differently. I don't think I'm suggesting understanding something in the same way would change it per se, but I'm telling that what I'm trying to say is that we don't do that, because that requires a tremendous amount of energy, effort, focus, and attention to understand something, to understand not someone, but that perception and perspective. That is true empathy and compassion, to really sit with someone who is capable of fully opening up and saying exactly how it is that they view the situation, exactly what they've done, what motivated it. I cannot help but think of Heard and Johnny Depp trial and the entire fiasco around that, because I'm clearly biased. I don't know neither Johnny nor Amber. It's a very silly situation. But when I see the videos, I can just there's this knowing that this person is lying, and I'm referring to Amber. And it is a fascinating thing to be able to perceive and that it's so, that you can so easily see someone avoiding telling the truth and instead defends herself constantly. And defense will always invite attack. It's a universal law, because if you haven't done anything wrong, there is nothing to defend about. And if something is done that is wrong, then there should be a desire to understand that, because our relationships, this life, is supposed to teach us about ourselves, and I believe also, and I dare say, liberate us from the shackles that we've created of our own prison. To just say it for what it is, to not sugarcoat it, to not try to appear better, which is our default programming, that our reputation, for example, and our perceived well-being is not affected. But the truth is that we don't know the consequences of what we're doing. We don't know the elements involved in how we treat someone else. I personally don't believe in karma, but I believe that there is truth in the karmic principles, that there's, what goes around comes around. And I love saying this, that you can't get away with anything, and you won't get away with anything. Everything you've done in your life, thought about doing, it'll come back. It will be there. It's going to be there. I'm currently going through, without sharing too many details of my private life, I'm going through an extensively exhausting process with my former partner and trying to understand what had happened, since there was plenty of pain and suffering involved, and that just keeps escalating and piling up. And as a man, again, I keep my distance. I'm being careful because these things are so sensitive and so prone to manipulation and twisting and bending the reality, that it is such a tough spot to be in. And at the same time, the knowing of how untruthful the situation is, because the truth is just not there. It's being hidden. And in that very action, I can see the truth of that. I hope you can follow, because I can see that the truth is being hidden by the way person is behaving. So if I'm protecting myself by avoiding contact, by saying I don't want to talk, I don't want to do this, not now, so it's never the right time to tell the truth and to confront the reality. And that is how you can notice someone not being able to do that and identify this person. I personally stay away from these people. Again, this is a divisive element, which I personally do not like, because it creates a clear division between you and me. You're like this and I'm like that. And that again is a conflict of beliefs. Not necessarily good, not inherently bad. At the same time, if you are not interested in pursuit of truth, and I am, of course I should be careful of what I label truth, because then I'm just conditioning myself further. But we're meant to discover what truth is together. If we had an incident or a conflict, then we can't even approach resolving it without understanding it first. And this is the fundamental, I believe, flaw and mistake that people make. That we approach a problem from different perspectives and with different solutions. And I am a firm believer a clear bias here, that understanding the origin and the root of conflict is in itself forgiveness, is in itself resolution, is in itself absolution of everything that's been done, in one sense. In a different sense, as biologically conditioned entities and organisms, and this is something that I read, or rather saw, from Sapolsky from Stanford University in one of his lectures on evolutionary biology, is that there is an aspect of us that requires reciprocity, reciprocal altruism, as he so beautifully puts it and calls it. I don't know if he coins the term, but it's a fantastic concept. So amends must be made if something has been done to someone else, if someone has been wronged by us, if we wronged someone, if we deliberately caused harm to someone under the guise of protecting ourselves. And this is often the case in the victim mentality. This often happens in the world of male-female relationships, and men suffer a lot because of this. Because as men, we are powerless against even a claim of abuse, of violence, of anything that caused harm to a woman. And please mind that I'm in no way justifying any form of abuse or violence. I'm referring to that facts need to be established. Facts of what exactly happened. Facts of what had been done. Once everyone is made aware of the facts, the interpretation comes into play, and then we can actually assess what happened. Until then, and before that, it is all speculative. It is all assumption. It is all just a mind game. And the bigger the problem is, the more people are involved in it. And that's the case with, for example, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. This problem could have been resolved by these two people without the involvement of so many people. And the entire world now knows about this. Just imagine that. Imagine a conflict that could have been resolved between us, two people, and the entire internet population watching this fiasco unfolding and this seemingly unreal situation, and witnessing so much deception and lies, and all that could have been avoided so easily. All of that could have been resolved if both, I'm not trying not to take sides here, if both Johnny Depp, Amber Heard took responsibility and said, let's resolve this. This is not good. This is not right. Instead, we get to watch on countless videos that what actually had happened. And again, all we have is the interpretation of what had happened. We don't know the reality of that fully. But we know enough to assume that Johnny is not guilty. And again, he had his role to play in that. And to a certain point, absolutely, there are elements that he can take more responsibility of. There are elements and aspects in which he could have acted differently, both of them. But I do this with tea, by the way, quite funny. But to witness that in such detail and to simply emotionally attune into both of them and see the difference in energies and approaches, truth becomes very obvious and apparent when one is attuned to it and when one actually pursues it and wants to know it. Because it's not about who is right or wrong when there is a conflict. It's about what happened. It's about what caused this. Not that cause would change the outcome. We're not focusing on changing the outcome, because outcome is only changeable by our perspective and perception of it. But to understand the origin of this is to actually resolve the problem. Of course, this does not include the aspect of making amends. Of course, that's a personal choice as well. You decide if you want to make amends and make additional effort to patch up the relationship and love and whatnot. But to understand the conflict, the origin of conflict, is pretty much resolving it. Because then the element of forgiveness is natural. It's a natural process of it. It's completely, I see what happened. I see why you did this to me. I see why you said these things to me, about me. And that kind of completely de-armors the person. It completely leaves them vulnerable to the truth of their being. If I was sitting with someone and she would say something bad about me behind my back with the intention of, let's say, ruining my reputation or lowering my quality of life, or just, personal defense, fear, then understanding that fear, understanding that primary motivation is coming together, is resolving things. Of course, if people don't want to do that, you can't make them, because there are people that generally don't want to know the truth of themselves. And these people are troublemakers, and I don't spend time around people like that. But there are also people that are relentless in pursuit of truth, that are animals, restless animals that won't stop until truth is unveiled. Unveiled. Not my native language, English, but I love it. And what matters more? Ask yourselves, what matters more than truth? All of our pursuits, everything that we do is motivated by some, mostly, if not partially, extrinsic factor, something outside, something external to us. But understanding that, understanding why that is, why we're doing things, that is true liberation. That is true relationship to oneself. And we can only foster good relationships with others if we understand ourselves, if we understand who we are, what we're about. It's a fantastically beautiful process. I hope you enjoyed your breakfast. I didn't have any. I'm just having a cup of tea. A cup of tea is nice sometimes. And I was thinking that in my future videos, I'm not going to record myself eat. Or if I do that, I'm just going to put a very small bit of it, because I don't think it's nice to have myself being recorded eating out of respect, I think. But at the same time, if you're eating and I'm eating, then it's quid pro quo. At the same time, then that gives me more time to speak if I don't have that much recording, and it gives you more content and information. So I hope that works. It's time to go to the gym. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining for the breakfast, for the deep talk. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like, subscribe, share, tell someone if they're interested in these subjects and topics. I love discussing these things. Suggest a subject you'd like to be spoken about. And if you're a man who seeks a platform to express himself freely, check Tribunity. I will link that in the description below. It's a platform where I want men to open up and to have a safe shared space in which they can express themselves, because us men it's very difficult for us to speak authentically and fully due to many external pressures, and the platform is in no way meant to be divisive. It's simply meant to give a safe space for men to speak and discuss the issues that we're facing. So please do that. I'll see you in the next video, and take good care of yourselves. Cheers.